Hi, Courage Circle. Welcome back. It's your host, Auntie Candace, with the Courage to Save podcast. And I'm so glad that you pressed play today. Our podcast title is The Power of Letting Go, Choosing Freedom Over Familiar Pain. Take a deep breath with me. I think we need another one. Inhale as much air as you possibly can. Hold it. Let it go. Now ask yourself this honestly. Am I holding on to something that's quietly holding me back? Now we're going to keep asking questions because those questions need answers, especially if we're trying to let go. The truth about holding on is sometimes we don't even realize we're stuck. We call it being strong, being loyal, waiting it out. But deep down, it's fear, it's comfort, and it's attachment. And while holding on may feel familiar, it can also keep us bound. Because when we hold on to what no longer serves us, we block what's trying to grow us. Ooh. So what does letting go really mean? Letting go is not about becoming cold or careless. It's about release. It's about saying, I no longer need to control this. I accept what it is. It is what it is. I choose peace over pressure. And at its core, letting go means freeing yourself from the things that are holding you back so you can create space for new opportunities, new possibilities, new relationships, and new ways of being. It's not lost. It's liberation. So what are some benefits of letting go? When we actually release the weight, we improve our mental health. When we stop trying to control everything, our mind can finally rest. Stress decreases, anxiety softens, peace becomes possible. It also improves our physical health. Your body responds to your mind. Letting go can lead to better sleep, lower blood pressure, reduce tension. And many of us are on blood pressure pills right now because of the stress of holding on to something that is no longer and has probably never served us. It also increases self-compassion. Letting go of perfection is powerful. You begin to say, I am human. I am learning. I am allowed to grow. And that shifts everything. It increases resilience. And we talked about this in the last resilience a couple of times in the last podcast. Life will still happen. Life will still be lifing. But when you start clinging to every setback, you bounce back quicker. You adapt better. You grow stronger. And you become open to new experiences. You can't receive new opportunities if your hands are full of old ones. Letting go makes space. You also allow stronger, healthier relationships when you release control of unrealistic expectations. You stop forcing connections and start experiencing them. So, what's the difference between, that's not what the difference. So let's look at letting go versus holding on. So relationships are probably the number one thing that we struggle with, especially as it relates to letting go. And holding on to someone or that don't serve us, that actually is toxic to our being. And letting go looks like choosing peace over toxicity. Some of us have grown up with toxicity that we don't even know what it would look like without it. We don't know how a decent man's supposed to be. We believe that because of what we have seen, we think that if a man or woman come into our life and they are lame or they're boring, we think that they are those things because we have been so used to the chaos. We're so used to the foolishness, the toxicity, that it is embedded in us. And our belief is that if that person is like that, is not like that, then something is wrong with them. But honestly, it's something wrong with us. And I'm just talking to the people who knows who I'm talking to. Okay? All right. Holding on is staying out of fear or habit. So when we hold on to something that does not, or someone who does not serve us, and when I mean not serves, like wait on us and hand and foot, but they're not supposed to be in our lives because they're creating chaos. We're doing things that we wouldn't normally do if that person wasn't in our lives. Those things we would normally do. So we stay out of fear or out of habit because it's comfortable. So emotions. Letting go looks like releasing resentment. Holding on looks like replaying pain daily. I recently spoke at a retreat, and I shared with the ladies that forgiveness is not just it's not just in word. It's not you just say, "Oh, I forgive you." The forgiveness is a process. And so you work through that forgiveness for that person. And you know that the forgiveness is there because you don't because the pain is not attached to what that person did. So it is a process, not a sprint, not something that happens overnight, even though many of us probably heard that in different, whether it be from our parents, whether we heard from church or we heard from someone else that, oh, I forgive and I'll forget. Forgiveness is a process. And when you think about what has happened, the pain is not attached to it. What about a career? Letting go is pursuing growth. Holding on is staying stuck and unfulfilled, because there's a lot of people that say they hate their jobs, and there are a lot of people now who are in need of a job. So it's not whether I hate it, or you can hate it and go somewhere else, or you can hate it and suck it up and just so you can get your check, and job is to get a check. Or you can change your mind about where you are and how can you use the skills that you have that will help you to maneuver hour by hour, day by day, until you find something else. That's another way of looking at it as well. But the goal is to pursue growth. Expectations. Letting go is embracing flexibility. Holding on is forcing perfection. When you learn to be flexible, you understand that things happen. Things are always going to happen. The goal is still to get whatever it is done. But if things go awry, you're not going to be frazzled or so have a lot of anxiousness because of those things that will go awry. It's important that we embrace flexibility, because perfection, I had to learn that nothing is perfect. Murphy's Law is going to happen. But what are you going to do in the meantime to get to that goal? Because the goal is still the goal. The job still needs to be done. So it's important that we learn to do that. Past mistakes. Learning and forgiving yourself. Letting go. Learning and forgiving yourself. So it's important that we learn from our mistakes. Because when we don't learn from the mistakes, we will go through that same lesson again. And when we go through the same lesson again, and we still haven't learned, we're probably going to go through it again. And then once our head has been hit enough, prayerfully you'll recover and be able to forgive. We'll be able to forgive ourselves or forgive yourself for not quickly learning the lesson. Because we don't want the other opposite, which is the holding on, living in guilt and shame. You don't want to live in guilt and shame, because that's what keeps you bound and from moving forward, and for continually hitting your head against a wall that will never move. Control. Letting go. Accepting what you can't control. I love my children. I love them so much. And there are so many things that I want to do to make sure that they are safe, they're making the right decisions, that they're, being upstanding people and all of this kind of stuff. And I can definitely do what I need to do to make sure that they are, those people that I pray for them to be. But the fact is that they're going to make some mistakes. They're going to not only make mistakes, they're going to do things that are intentional because it benefits them, whether it's right or wrong. That's a life. That's a part of life. So I have to accept that. So, yeah. I'm talking to myself right now, so, if I'm pausing because I'm talking to myself. All right, the holding on part is exhausting yourself trying to control everything. So if I try to control my girls and in everything that they do, I'm going to miss out on my life. I'm going to miss out on the good things that me and my husband can enjoy, because I'm be constantly worried about them. Now, I do need to, have concern for them. However, I do understand that they are also human. And so in their humanness, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to do things that they believe is right, which could absolutely be wrong. But they have to learn. Unhealthy beliefs, rewriting your story, letting go. That's a part of the letting go, rewriting your story. Because the fact of the matter is, at any time we can pivot. Thank God. Thank God for His grace. where we can pivot. What keeps us stuck is when we hold on to those limited and old narratives about ourselves. It keeps us stuck and we can't move forward. So when we can't move forward, there's attachment to our old self. And that attachment isn't necessarily bad, because we're human, we connect, we love, we build, but problems arise when we believe, I need this to be okay. That's where suffering begins, because life changes, people change, circumstances change, and when we cling too tightly, we create our own stress. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring, or I stop caring. It means we stop depending on something that is no longer meant for us. So let's look at some steps, some actionable steps for letting go, to start letting go. Number one, we want to identify what we need to release. Be honest with ourselves. Is it a person, a mindset, a fear, a past version of ourselves? And we have to reflect without judgment, being careful not to shame ourselves. Just observe. What do you notice about how you respond to things? What do you notice about how your own behavior or how you react? What do you notice about yourself? And that's going to take some time. And it also takes some writing. So when you notice yourself doing this or that, thinking this, allowing your eyes to see that, your ears to hear this, what do you notice? Reflect without judgment. Now, visualize your freedom. What does your life look like without this weight? Feel it. Feel what your life will look like without the weight of the judgment, without the weight of whatever that is that you're not letting go. And practice it daily. This is never a one and done. As mentioned, it's a process. And build a support system. You don't have to do it alone. Now, as I mentioned before, questions will be happening. So this is, again, allows you to think about your own life, your own actions, your own ways of doing things. So here's some questions I want you to reflect on before we close this out. Okay? And I want you to sit with this. What am I holding on to that's hurting me? Why have I been afraid to release it? What could open up for me if I finally let it go? All right? And you can rewind as often as you want to, get those questions. And now I want you to say this with me. I release what no longer serves me. I trust myself to move forward. I choose peace, growth, and freedom. Repeat that as often as you want. Because the thing is, as I mentioned earlier in the first podcast, that things happen, it starts in the spirit. I'm sorry, not the first one, the introduction of the series podcast. When we speak things repeatedly, whether good or bad, it becomes a part of us. It's spirit first, and then it becomes who we are. So what you speak, you constantly speak it. It actually allows your mind starts to believe it, and as your mind believe it, your spirit is already, and your spirit, your entire being now is starting to move in that direction. The Bible talks about death and life is in the power of the tongue, and those who eat it eat the fruit thereof. So speak life. Courage circle, letting go is not easy, but staying stuck, that's costly. Every time you choose to release, you choose you. And remember, it takes courage to save a life, including your own. Until then, see you Monday. Stay courageous.